Greetings, everyone. 'Tis the high demonic eruption, and on this wondrous Hallows Eve, we'll be taking a look at Muhyo and Roji, Investigation Bureau, Volume 1. Yeah, that cheer that appeared at the end of my Darkstalkers review, that's where that was from. It's one of the only horror mangas I've read. Muhyo and Roji's Investigation Bureau is about these two individuals here, Muhyo being the midget and Roji being the taller gentleman, as they go around exacting penance on evil spirits who cause harm to humans. Muhyo being the powerful magic user, while Roji is his cowardly, powerless assistant who serves as sort of a surrogate character that we're supposed to relate to. Everything that terrifies him is supposed to terrify us. Think of it as Scooby-Doo meets the Ghostbusters. No, not those Ghostbusters. Yeah, those guys who use magical tools as opposed to scientific ones. Their first investigation, it starts with a girl named Rai, who tells them of a tale of sorts about a ghost who has a habit of snatching up people at a subway station. Rai and Takeo were very close friends, almost inseparable like sisters, to the point where some of their surrounding students found it creepy. As time passed on, however, Rai began to get involved in other activities, such as volleyball, and leaving poor old Takeo behind, to where one night, on the way home from practice, Takeo decides to confront her former friend and why they haven't hung out anymore, which leads into a most unfortunate accident, thus causing Rai to blame herself for her friend's death, and thus asking for the aid of Muhyo and Roji to, well, allow her friend to rest in peace. If you ask me, Takeo kinda reminds me of Pinkie Pie. She's sweet and lovable so long as she has friends around, but without friends, she just gets a little freaky. Plus, I think it's a tad redundant, too. Nah, I'm gonna save that joke for later. Trust me, it's gonna be a dumb one. So, several days later, they make their way to the subway, which we finally get to see what's become of Takeo and Jumpin' Jellyfax. Good lord, she's huge. Oh, and by the way, you wanna know how she got all those arms? Like this. Yeah, she's absorbing her friend into her body. Isn't friendship just wonderful? Also, you could say with her that Muhyo and Roji have their hands full. Nah, I was wrong. For her penance is getting swallowed up by the mouth of Hades and being sent to hell a la his digestive system. And yes, it is a 2-page spread that I ain't gotta turn on its side in order to read it. Suck on that moral DC Comics. But after Ray gets spit back out, seeing as how she's still living, she manages to retrieve Taki, all further enraging the Lord of the Dead that he doesn't get to eat his dinner. So after a passionate plea from Takeo to just let her go and accept her penance, and Muhyo strikes a deal with the devil to have Takeo Muhyo's punishment be sent to the river Styx instead. Thus all ends well for Takeo and Rei. Such a heartwarming tale, which is pretty much kind of a trend in this particular volume. Or maybe in the series, given how further I've read. Much like our next tale. Our next case involves an old woman who's a chef who used to make food for college students up until they saw a one-eyed ghost. And it freaked them out so much that they decided to stop visiting her restaurant altogether. When there's something strange in the neighborhood, who you gonna call? So after getting scared by some boxes, Roji decides to wait into a room while Muhyo continues the investigation, which leads to... Yowza! Boy, I tell you what, that creeped me out first time I saw it. That ain't even the creepiest thing in this book. Just you wait. So after Roji weakens the creature's hold on the old woman, what's his penance? Curtain of Thorns. Apparently, he will walk through hell, getting prickled by thorns every single waking day. Now that I think about it, it actually does sound pretty painful. I mean, heck, it hurts to be prickled by one thorn. Imagine having to be prickled by many for all eternity. Which ends well for the old woman as she decides to treat them to another batch of curry as a sign of gratitude. Too bad it's meatless. Our next case involves a female pianist. Get your mind out of that gutter. Who owns a cursed piano with a spirit that appears at 3 a.m. every night. Oh, and I feel the need to point out that Muhyo's a bit of a jerk as he brings up how many people seem to be jealous of Aya's talents as a pianist. But he's not without reason, as after staking out at her place in vases, they finally meet the creature, who shatters the jars with an ear-piercing screech that drives Muhyo and Roji mad before they are rescued by Aya's piano playing. And what is the penance for this creature's crime? Why, to be added as a collectible item in Beelzebub's treasure box. And thus this chapter ends with a bit of insight to Muhyo's past. See, the spirit that was sent to haunt Aya was actually meant to trap and kill Muhyo by a rival of sorts who was jealous of his talent. And that was just the first 3 chapters. And of course it'll only get interesting from there, but seeing as how Hollow's Eve is coming to an end, we will have to postpone this. So... I'll deal with you next year.